I am excited to be sharing this video with you guys. I'm going to be going through and we are going to talk about how to evaluate a deal. So I'm really excited about this. We just had the REI Success meeting a few days ago at the time of me posting this. And last month at the meeting, we covered how to find deals. And so I posted a little recap video in here if you want to go back and check that out if you're struggling with how do you find deals. One of the biggest things that I brought up as I was on the panel during that discussion was you have to know your buy box. What is your criteria? How are you going to know when a good deal slaps you in the face, right? You can say, I can't find deals all day long, but what I find most of the time when I'm coaching people is they just don't even know what they're looking for. So how would they ever know what is a good deal? So this month we covered how do you evaluate a deal. And there were some really big takeaways in here. One of the biggest takeaways was there's so many people that are missing out on thousands and thousands of dollars every single week, not just from us, but from any sources they have of deal flow, whether that's other wholesale companies, whether that's MLS, just referral deals that are coming to them. However, they're finding deals when they get these deals. They're missing out on thousands of dollars because they're being way too conservative. So I'm going to go through this hopefully relatively quickly. And then if you have comments or questions or anything, go ahead and post those in the comment section here. If you're watching this on Facebook Live, if you're watching this on YouTube later, post some questions in the comments and I'll try to get back and answer those. But we're going to go through a real example. So this is a property that came through our company and we decided to flip it. And so here's some specs on this thing. Not that they're relatively that important. The big thing that came up as a discussion was right here. The roof was a big point of discussion during the evaluation process when we did an exercise going through and we had everybody run their own analysis on this. The other thing that came up was this working ARV. So, people come up with ARVs differently. You'll see that we were pretty conservative on how we run the numbers. And so there's a couple levers you can pull a lot of times when you're evaluating a deal if you want to sort of pad it a little bit. And what I mean by that is make sure you're being, on the lower end or more conservative. One of the things you can do is scale back your ARV. The big thing that we found is we didn't have a lot of time to go through and actually pull comps and do all that sort of stuff. But one thing that's important is know your area. So like this house in particular, if you look at other houses that sold in this similar area, similar square footage, beds, baths, style house, that sort of thing, and they're not completely flipped and renovated and everything else, that means that you also may not need to go through that much renovation to get it to that same level. So again, it depends on the condition of the property when you get it, but that was a big takeaway as well. So just looking at comps, something maybe had sold for 200,000. But maybe it wasn't completely fixed up all the way. So maybe we should have been using that a little bit heavier in our working ARV. So you'll see what I'm talking about as we go through this. Here's some inspection report notes. So we got an inspection done, more so we know what we got to fix and everything else. We do that pretty much on all of our properties. And if you're on our wholesale list, you'll also get that as well. In most of the deals that we put out. But you'll see there's some issues here. So a couple big things like the foundation, we were like, gosh, I don't know. Turned out, spoiler alert, it was about a $500 repair. So a lot of times this is another thing people see, basement issue, nope, staying away. This thing ended up being a $500 repair. The beam not notched, it's another thing, relatively easy to system up. In most cases, I'm not a structural engineer, but in most cases that's what ends up happening. And so people see that as well and they go, structural issues, right? And they run the other way. So those were a couple of the things that would come up and potentially scare some folks. If you want to grab the deal calculator that we use, I'll also put it in the comments here. But this is what we use to evaluate this deal. And then there's also photos and a whole folder full of other things so you can get more in depth with the pictures. I would highly recommend doing this exercise if you find that you're missing out on a lot of deals. So if you're making offers and you're active, but you're not getting the deals, I would go through and actually do this activity and take a little bit of time here to go through this process. So you may have to pause this thing so I don't spoil it for you, but go through and look at the pictures, run your comps, do everything and see how you compare to how the actual results ended up being. Okay, so here's the estimation that we came up with when we were going to flip this property. So this is our whole sheet. And again, in that QR code, I'll go back to that if I can. Oh, it's not going to maybe let me here. Let me see. Yep, okay. Go back in there. You'll be able to download this spreadsheet calculator, and this you'll be able to plug in your own numbers. Again, I would do it before you see our numbers, but here's what we came up with. Now, what was interesting at most of the tables as we went around this, like at my table in particular, we had 5 of us, I believe, that work for our company, or 4 of us that work for our company, and then 2 other folks that were in the contractor world. We came up with a budget of $28,500 for rehab on it for renovations. Oh, maybe not. It was a little bit less because we had holding costs in there. So probably closer to like the $25,000 range. This was our budget in our company when we actually like spent the time to go through the report and plug it in. Okay, here's what actually happened. So we ended up getting it all of the work done that you're going to see for about $12,665. Again, my table was at about 25,000 in repairs. There were some tables that budgeted 50 some thousand. I mean, it was drastic. Other tables in the 30s, a lot of them in the upper 20s, and this came in at 12,665. So big takeaway for a lot of people was like, good Lord, we're either over flipping it, meaning they're not looking at the comps and saying, what do we actually have to do to get this sellable? They're putting tons of money in and redoing everything, and that you don't have to do that in a lot of cases. You're going to get the same spread, right? You spend another $30,000 just to raise the value, $30,000. Well, you're actually losing money because your realtors take a percentage. So now you're actually losing money. Plus, there's your title costs are going to be higher, and so on and so forth. So the point of this was, hey, do what you have to do to get it sold for the maximum amount of spread in the quickest amount of time. So here's some before pictures of this example. You'll see it's not in bad shape, right? It's not terrible. It's got cluttered up and all that sort of thing, but it's not bad. And here's what it looks like after. And a lot of this is really, guys, just cleaning and paint. And you'll notice that stove is still the old stove. We didn't replace that old stove, same old one. The tub in the inspection pictures looked pretty nasty. Like, man, we might have to replace this tub. We just got people in there that threw some elbow grease in it and got it super clean. And now it looks great. So here's the befores. New flooring, paint, amazing, and hardware on the kitchen cabinets. So again, nothing miraculous. We're not ripping cabinets out. We're not redoing layouts. We're not tearing walls down here. We're literally cleaning it, flooring, paint, boom, done. So here were some estimates. Buying costs, we figured about 4,498. You can see all the numbers there. I don't have to read them all off for you. Here's where we came in at. So we were a little bit lower on our buying costs, which was good. A little bit higher on the selling costs. Holding costs were quite a bit less because this was a pretty quick one. And it sold right away. I think the first day we listed it, we had a bunch of offers on it. So that was good. Thought it would be a 180 ARV, and we got an offer at 215. Now, this is an amazing example. This does not happen on every single property, right? But we were conservative on the ARV, which was the lever we pulled. I think we were actually probably pretty good at our repair budget. I think Max, who was our project manager on this, just did a great job at minimizing costs on it. Either way, it was an awesome deal. But again, the point of this whole exercise that I think a lot of people took away was they're over flipping, and they're estimating way too high for rehab budget. So if you're pulling 2 levers here, what I mean by that is if you're pulling a lever and you're saying I'm going to go conservative on my ARV, well then don't go super conservative on your rehab budget. What I mean by conservative is, man, I'm going to pad the rehab budget. Don't pad the rehab budget if you're light on your ARV. Okay. Try to get as good at this as you can, obviously, so you don't have to pull any levers. You can just be like, yep, this is what it's going to be. But if you're going to go conservative, don't do both levers. Pick one lever, go a little bit conservative if you need to feel comfortable making offers. But if you are missing out, again, consistently on getting deals, it's not that there's not deals out there. Like, as I'm at the time of this recording, literally just had 5 deals that we put out this past week. So there's deal flow. It's you need to get consistent on what's your buy box and understand exactly what are you looking for, and then you need to make sure you're tightening up how you're running your numbers. So I wanted to just come on here and share